All right, black and white sports supporters. Well, we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. Got a couple different things, including trade talk to the Saints? Question mark? Big one? Now, forgive me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the Saints draft Tyler Shuck in the second round? I'm almost sure of it. I know I'm not going crazy, but now they're going to trade for Shedeur Sanders? Okay, that's interesting. And we've got a Cleveland radio host that loses his ever-loving mind over Shedeur Sanders. I guess there's a large portion of the Cleveland fan base that believe that Shedeur Sanders is not getting a fair shake as far as equity and competition.
But they are doing everything they can for a guy like the name of Sanders, a star of his caliber. They're doing everything they can to provide the fairest shot possible for him. I will take it to my grave, whether it's in the next minute, the next 30 minutes, or the next 30 years. I will take it to my grave.
You may take a Twinkie with you to the grave.
And say it right to St. Peter's face. They are doing nothing to try to break a quarterback. They're doing nothing to try to break Shedeur Sanders, especially Shedeur Sanders. For anybody out there who is not a real Browns fan, who might be listening to this, I am telling you right now, shaking as hard as I can. They are not doing anything to try to sabotage or try to break Shedeur Sanders or to not be fair to Shedeur Sanders.
Something unusual is unfolding in Cleveland, and fans are not happy about it. Shedeur Sanders, one of the most talked about rookies in recent memory, is at the heart of a controversy that's quickly heating up. Drafted in the 5th round by the Browns, Shedeur came in carrying expectations and excitement, not just from Cleveland, but from football fans everywhere. Yet now, in just a short amount of time, the Browns seem to be quietly backing away from giving Sanders a real shot at becoming their future quarterback.
No shit, he's a 5th round pick. There. I mean, I don't know how else to clear that up. 5th round pick's not going to get equity and reps. You can forget that shit. I mean, honestly, he's going to have to go out during a preseason game, during preseason play, of which time he should get a lot of reps during these preseason games. But if you're talking about actual in practice, in training camp, against the ones, with the ones, no, he's not going to. That's not the way the NFL works. Now, you guys know I've said in the past, I think the NFL's got a very flawed system when it comes to their quarterbacks and cannibalizing their own quarterbacks. In other words, I think there's guys that could play that slipped through the system because they didn't get enough reps.
Reports emerging from the Browns training camp paint a confusing and frustrating picture. Despite Sanders clearly demonstrating talent, charisma, and the potential to elevate an offense, he has found himself stuck on the sidelines. Fans expecting him to get reps with the first team have been shocked to see him relegated to minimal action, stuck behind less exciting quarterback options. Even as local Cleveland media tries to calm the uproar, insisting there is nothing wrong, many aren't buying it.
All right, I mean, you got one guy that's getting 4 reps or 5 reps or whatever, and then you got a guy that gets, 19 reps. You get my point. And against the level of competition, this, that, and the other. I just think there's guys that probably could have played, especially if they had the right coaches, that was never given a chance. But until something comes around like a developmental league, by the way, I almost did a UFL video because the UFL got a massive, massive investor, a billionaire today, and he's got some unbelievable ideas. He wants to expand to 16 teams by 2035. UFL may be here to stay for a while, at least.
In fact, the tension around Sanders' treatment has spilled over into public arguments. On a recent Cleveland radio show, the host passionately defended the Browns, going as far as to deny any deliberate effort to undermine or neglect Shedeur Sanders. But the fact he had to shout so loudly and defend the team's decision so fervently suggests there is something deeper beneath the surface. It's hard not to wonder, why exactly is Sanders, a player who has already proven himself capable at the collegiate level, being kept out of meaningful reps during practice?
So let's start with the Cleveland radio host. I saw this guy, and my first thought was, is this Cleveland's version of Scott Zolak? Is that what we're doing? The ex-Patriots quarterback that's now all over New England radio? I mean, Scott Zolak's one cool sumbitch. I don't know if you can go that route. But so anyway, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, it's Timu Scott Zolak right here on the right. This guy right here on the right. So this is the Ken Carman show with Anthony Lima. I'm going to be real. I ain't never watched this show. I ain't never listened to it. I don't know which one's which. But this son of a gun right here on the right is going to lose his ever-loving mind.
For weeks, fans in Cleveland have noticed the disconnect. Shedeur Sanders is a star attraction off the field. His jersey sells fast, his appearances generate buzz, and his community involvement is well documented. He's quickly become beloved by Browns fans desperate for something new, something exciting. Yet, when it comes to actually letting him show his skill, the Browns seem reluctant, as if hesitant to unleash him.
But they are doing everything they can for a guy like the name of Sanders, a star of his caliber. They're doing everything they can to provide the fairest shot possible for him. I will take it to my grave, whether it's in the next minute, the next 30 minutes, or the next 30 years. I will take it to my grave.
You may take a Twinkie with you to the grave.
And say it right to St. Peter's face. They are doing nothing to try to break a quarterback. They're doing nothing to try to break Shedeur Sanders, especially Shedeur Sanders. For anybody out there who is not a real Browns fan, who might be listening to this, I am telling you right now, shaking as hard as I can, they are not doing anything to try to sabotage or try to break Shedeur Sanders or to not be fair to Shedeur Sanders.
This confusing treatment of Sanders has ignited theories. Could it be internal politics at play? Could it be a scenario where management has one vision and coaches have another? Or is this simply another case of a promising young quarterback being overlooked because he doesn't fit the traditional mold or because he came in a later round?
How many jerseys did he already sell? How many jerseys did he already sell? How many autographs has he already signed in Greater Cleveland? How many events has he already had in Greater Cleveland? How many events has this man already? How much charitable contribution has this man made to society over the last umpteen years here, or at least the last 4 since he was at Jackson State, and certainly probably before because of who his father is? How many things has he done? They're trying to break Shedeur Sanders? After the cloud this franchise has been under over the last 3 seasons, they don't want that guy to be a franchise quarterback for him, the team that's more obsessed with finding a franchise quarterback than any team out there. They don't want Shedeur Sanders to play for them?
What's clear is this: Cleveland Browns fans feel betrayed. They invested their enthusiasm and hope in Sanders, believing the franchise was turning a corner. Instead, they're faced with what feels like a repeat of past mistakes, ignoring obvious talent until it's too late, sticking with conventional choices even when those choices clearly aren't working. Browns fans have seen this story before, and they desperately hoped Sanders would be different. And now, things may take an unexpected turn. Rumors are beginning to swirl, linking Shedeur Sanders to another team entirely, the New Orleans Saints. This isn't mere idle speculation. The Saints, who are still navigating their post-legendary quarterback era, seem more than willing to step in and rescue Sanders from his Cleveland limbo. Football analysts and former players alike, such as Asante Samuel, have openly suggested Sanders could be an attractive trade target if he impresses during the upcoming preseason games. This speculation, coming from those who deeply understand the inner workings of NFL front offices, adds fuel to the fire. If Sanders showcases his talent, accuracy, composure, leadership in preseason action, he won't just impress fans. He'll catch the attention of teams around the league looking for a spark, teams like the Saints. The Saints have openly struggled to find a consistent franchise quarterback. While they drafted Tyler Show, many experts believe Show's ceiling isn't nearly as high as Sanders. The Saints organization, known for aggressive moves and an open-minded approach to talent, could jump at the opportunity to bring Sanders to New Orleans. For their fans, this move would be met with excitement. A fresh, charismatic quarterback who plays with flair and confidence, exactly what the Saints fan base is craving. The Browns, meanwhile, seem stuck in their old ways. Even as they publicly claim there's no agenda, their actions suggest otherwise. Cleveland's front office seems to be holding on to outdated ideas, refusing to see what Sanders could genuinely bring to their team. But by ignoring his potential, they risk making a grave mistake. The betrayal that Browns fans feel is real, and it's intensifying with each passing practice where Sanders is overlooked. If Cleveland doesn't change its approach soon, they might just watch helplessly as another team, like the Saints, steps in, offers a trade, and takes the player they undervalued. This wouldn't be the first time Cleveland mishandled a promising quarterback. Fans have seen enough to recognize the pattern, and they're voicing their discontent louder than ever. In the end, the Browns may find that their attempts to quietly sideline Sanders won't go unnoticed. Not by fans, not by the media, and certainly not by other NFL teams looking for their next quarterback star. The Saints, patiently watching the situation unfold, seem more ready than ever to swoop in and rescue Sanders from Cleveland's mismanagement. And if that happens, Browns fans won't just feel betrayed. They'll feel robbed of the star they knew they had all along. As preseason football approaches, the Cleveland Browns find themselves at a crossroads. They have Shedeur Sanders, a promising rookie quarterback whose star power and undeniable talent have sparked a wave of excitement among fans. Yet, their cautious, overly conservative approach seems likely to backfire. By limiting Sanders' opportunities during training camp, the Browns appear to be sending a clear message. They don't fully trust him, or perhaps they're unwilling to deviate from their original plans. Whatever the reason, fans sense that this hesitancy might lead to disaster, just as it has before. But here's where it gets complicated. By keeping Sanders out of first-team reps, Cleveland has inadvertently created the perfect conditions for another franchise to swoop in and capitalize. Enter the New Orleans Saints, an organization renowned for bold moves and decisive actions. They're no strangers to risk-taking, especially when it means potentially securing a franchise-defining player. The Saints have had their eyes open, quietly observing Cleveland's unusual handling of Sanders, ready to pounce at the first sign of opportunity. Why would the Saints be so eager to move on Sanders? The answer is straightforward. He represents precisely what they lack: charisma, excitement, and a quarterback around whom they can build their next era. After years of inconsistency and uncertainty at the position, Saints fans are desperate for a leader who can restore their winning culture. Sanders offers exactly that: talent matched with genuine star potential, someone capable of becoming the face of their franchise for years to come. Former NFL players and analysts have noted publicly that Sanders could easily become a hot commodity if he plays well during preseason games. It's not merely speculation. Experienced observers, like Asante Samuel, know the NFL landscape intimately. They understand how quickly a quarterback's stock can rise. One impressive outing from Sanders during Cleveland's preseason opener against Carolina, and the Saints won't be alone in making phone calls. Multiple quarterback-needy teams could suddenly become interested, leading to a bidding war for the quarterback Cleveland seems hesitant to fully embrace. For Cleveland Browns fans, watching Sanders potentially leave would feel like yet another bitter disappointment in a long history of missed opportunities. They've seen talent walk out the door before. They know exactly how painful it can be when a promising player goes on to succeed elsewhere, highlighting the franchise's mistakes. If Sanders leaves and thrives in New Orleans or anywhere else, the Browns organization will have to answer tough questions from their fan base, who already feel betrayed. In contrast, the Saints organization and fan base would welcome Sanders with open arms. He'd enter a situation primed for him to flourish. The Saints offer something Sanders is currently missing in Cleveland: full organizational support. He would find a team ready to build around his skills, not hesitantly hiding him on the depth chart. New Orleans would place their trust in him, granting him reps, opportunity, and most importantly, respect. But can Cleveland truly afford to lose Sanders without giving him a real chance? Every decision in the NFL carries long-term implications. If Sanders succeeds elsewhere, Cleveland would face lasting regret. Every touchdown he throws for another team would remind them of their mistake. Every playoff game he wins elsewhere would haunt their organization for years. The irony is stark. Cleveland drafted Sanders hoping to capitalize on his talent and marketability, yet they seem unwilling to take a genuine risk on him. Perhaps they're worried about public perception or internal politics. But in doing so, they risk alienating their fans, who can clearly see the potential slipping away. Cleveland's cautious approach isn't protecting them. It's weakening them, creating unnecessary controversy, and potentially handing a star player to a competitor. The upcoming preseason will serve as a final test. Sanders is likely to get significant playing time in these games, making each snap a statement. If he excels, Cleveland will be forced to either reassess their stance or lose him altogether. The Saints, and possibly other teams, will be watching carefully. One standout performance could transform Sanders from a hidden talent into one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in the league. In the end, the Cleveland Browns must quickly decide what they truly value: security and familiarity, or courage and potential greatness. Shedeur Sanders' future hangs in the balance, and what Cleveland does next will define their franchise for years to come. Meanwhile, the Saints stand ready, willing to make their move. New Orleans knows the value Sanders can bring, and they aren't afraid to seize the opportunity if Cleveland falters. And as fans in Cleveland anxiously wait, hoping their team finally makes the right call, one thing is clear: the Browns' cautious handling of Shedeur Sanders might soon go down as their biggest betrayal yet, a decision that costs them dearly, while delivering the Saints exactly the quarterback they've long been waiting for.